And this one is a racing game where each player is going to be building up their own team of chariots of a specific race. And what's neat about this is the base game is going to have humans, goblins, dwarves, and kobolds, and each team's going to have their own unique stats and abilities. And there is going to be even more teams that you can add through expansions, but you'll be able to customize these chariots in a bunch of different ways. First of all, the boards just come with a few different abilities and stats off the bat, but then you can also add these different cards in order to customize them even more, which means that there is a lot of variability to this game, even if you are playing as the same team over again. Not only that, but there's a lot of variability with the actual racetrack itself because players are going to be combining the racetrack with a bunch of different tokens like obstacles and traps. And this is going to be adding variability because the players do have the freedom to place the tokens however they like, bearing some restrictions. But of course, to win the game, you want to be the first player to cross the finish line after completing a certain amount of laps. And as you're trying to get around these different obstacles, you're also going to have to worry about the other players getting in your way because you can attack each other. And there is ways that you can mitigate this through using your control points, but those are only going to get reset once you complete a lap, so you have a limited amount of those that you can use each and every lap. But the game plays over a series of rounds where each player is going to be choosing their speed in secret on their speed dial, staying within their maximum speed. This is going to determine the amount of base movement points that you get for that round, but you can also get additional movement points by spending a control point, which will allow you to roll a die to give you a random amount of extra movement. Turn order is determined by a deck which has cards for each player. You're going to be shuffling those and then drawing one card at a time to determine the order that the players get to activate. You're going to be spending your movement points to either move forwards or sideways along the track, and there are some areas on the board that do have speed limits, and if you end up taking more movement than the limit on that speed limit, then you're going to be taking damage equal to the difference. Once again, you can use control points to mitigate this. Something that's neat about this game and makes it unique from a lot of other racing games is that your chariot's actually going to be occupying 2 spaces out on the board because your chariot's divided into the actual carriage and then the horses that are pulling it. If you ever line up your chariot next to another player so that some portion of your opponent's chariot lines up with your carriage, then you can actually attack that player, attacking either the horses or their carriage depending on what's next to you. Depending on whether you attack the horses, the chariot, or the driver itself, this could limit the abilities that they have access to, reduce their max speed, or even destroy the chariot completely, causing debris out on the racetrack that you'll also have to avoid. But if you do roll a 1, that's going to be causing a critical fail, and of course the other player is going to be able to get a counterattack. Luckily, you do have other chariots if you do end up losing any of yours, so likely you will be able to remain in the game, but the game continues like this until one player crosses that finish line first, and then they win the game. And if you do want to check this one out, I will have it linked down below.